Hey folks, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Racing Show here at RacePlazaMedia.
My name is Milan.
And my name is Pia, and today we are going to talk about the MotoGP race at Silverstone that happened this weekend. The guys are finally back from a little bit of a summer break. Yeah, so 3 weeks of a summer break. I'm so glad that they're back.
I'm so glad they're back, but also we have so many more races to go, which is kind of exciting.
I know, I didn't expect it going into this race, but we're essentially pretty much halfway through the season only. So we still have, like you said, a lot of racing to go.
It is a little bit surprising because also we're more than halfway done with the actual calendar year.
Yes.
But we also know that they're not racing into late into the year.
No, exactly. And we have a week break now, but then I'm sure we're going to have a couple back-to-back weekends again.
I'm very excited.
I'm very, very excited. So I had the pleasure of watching the sprint race this weekend as well. You unfortunately couldn't because of work. But the sprint race was already really, really exciting. I mean,
how many laps?
That was, was it 10 laps?
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was 10 laps for the sprint race. And we had, in the opening lap, we had Frankie Morbidelli crashing into Besetti. So they were out. It looked a little bit scary at that point because both of them needed help leaving the track. So that was a little bit scary, but they both ended up racing in the main race. We had both Pecco and Marc Marquez crash out individually, independent of each other, just little mistakes. So they both crashed out. But not the big surprise, but a very strong weekend this weekend had Enea Bastianini, which was really exciting to see because he seems like such a nice guy. And so he, of course, won the sprint race, but now going into the main event.
So I thought actually the race was good, but I don't think it was the best race of the season. I don't think there was that much overtaking. So we had Pecco Bagnaia right off the get-go. He took over the lead and he led the race actually for the majority. I think up until
halfway.
I think up until lap 11. Lap 11 or 12, which is a little bit more than halfway.
Yeah, no, it is.
And however, I think before we get into that, in the back, I thought we didn't have as much action as we usually have. I was kind of hoping that Marc Marquez would be able to go back to his usual, I'm going to overtake everyone.
Yes.
But it seems like besides the winner of the race, a lot of people were really struggling because I think the conditions were also not ideal.
And they were not as expected.
Yes.
Because the conditions had changed. And right at the beginning of the track, we had a couple of drops. Of course, it didn't end up really raining. It was cooler temperatures than expected, which helped with tire degradation. But it's still a very tricky track, Silverstone is.
But I wanted to say, so before we get into it, so really the person with the worst start was Brett Binder. He unfortunately, after the formation lap, they forgot to put his bike back out of the fuel saving or whatever situation. So he was just passed by literally everyone at the beginning of the race, and then it was over for him. And then unfortunately, also we had the two Trackhouse bikes get into a crash with each other and take each other out in the first lap.
We didn't even get to see a replay of it.
They very rarely show that.
Yeah, because it wasn't part of the front action, but we didn't get to see. But eventually, we got notifications that both of them crashed out, and then Joan Mir, he there were some issues, so he had to go into the pits and retired from the race as well.
I wonder if that will change when Liberty Mutual will take over, because they're also the one. Is it Liberty Media, not Liberty Mutual, because that's an insurance company. Liberty Media, because they're obviously also the ones doing Formula One, and I think they're doing a really good job with it.
With the broadcast,
with the broadcast
so
at least, especially on F1 TV. I cannot speak for Sky or anything like that. So I'm hoping we'll be able to see a little bit more of replays in the moment and stuff like that. I hope that will kind of bring it to a higher level. I'm not saying it's bad. I think it just has room for improvement.
Yeah, because there's obviously much more happening on a track than just the front group, and usually most of the coverage we get is from the front group. But there's also overtaking happening further back and battling, of course, which we unfortunately don't get to see live.
And I'm not saying that they do it perfectly in F1, but I do think that they show some nice moments here and there.
Yes, agreed. But yeah, I think so the Bagnaia started the race really, really strong, but then a little bit more than halfway through the race, the positioning changed. So first Jorge Martin took over the lead. Behind him was Pecco. Then it was Bastianini with Aleix behind him. And there was a little bit of battling going on, one between Alex Marquez and Aleix. They were fighting a little bit there. And then there was also DG got into some fightings as well. But overall, we had then 2 laps before the end of the race. Enea Bastianini, he ended up cutting it through the inside. Jorge Martin went a little bit wide. Enea took advantage of it because his tires were in a little bit of a better state than they were for Jorge, and he took the lead, and he drove out another 1.5 second or almost 2 second lead before the end of the race within less than 2 laps.
Well, yeah, with like a lap and a half to go. So he was really, this was the track and this was the race for him because he won a sprint race and he won the main event. So honestly, first of all, big points for the championship. So he picked up a total of 37 points, which is the maximum that you can get in a race weekend, which is obviously really fantastic. However, due to Pecco Bagnaia finishing in 3rd and Jorge Martin finishing in 2nd, Jorge Martin actually took over the lead of the championship. He's now 3 points ahead of Pecco Bagnaia with 241 points over his 238. And then we have in 3rd place with 192 points Enea Bastianini. And then in 4th we have Marc Marquez with 179 points. And Marc Marquez, as we know, is joining Pecco Bagnaia in the factory Ducati
next
season. And then Enea Bastianini will be going to the KTM, Red Bull KTM of Tech 3 something.
Yeah. So it's gonna be really interesting now that I'm getting more familiar with the riders and now hearing about which team they're going to next season. I have this preconceived notion based on just this season so far how I think next season is gonna be a little bit, because I think, like you just hinted at, I think it's a little unfortunate that Enea is going to Tech 3. It seems like such a step down, and the same as with also Jorge Martin. Yes, of course, he was overlooked yet again by Ducati, but then that he's going to Aprilia, and Aprilia really hasn't been
where they
great
need to be at
this season. I mean, granted, Aleix did pretty well this weekend. He got pole position and he ended up in the top 5, I think it was, right? Where did he end up?
And he ended 6th.
He ended up coming
in front of Alex Marquez.
He came in 6th, so it's not horrible. And of course, who knows if maybe Jorge will do a better job with the bike. I don't know, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting seeing all these changes going into next season. But I mean, we still have half the season, so there's still a lot more to happen this season.
So much more to happen.
Yes.
Of course, it will be cool to see Marc Marquez in the like in the newest Ducati, because right now he's on the older one.
Yes.
And he's doing really, really well. But one thing that I wanted to bring up, which is a little bit unfortunate, that I think for the last couple of races, we haven't really seen or heard a lot of Pedro Acosta.
I was thinking about that too. I mean, he did end up, he didn't do horribly. He came in 9th, so he still scored points. But then also considering this is his rookie season, and I think he's been consistently in the top 10s, it is still really, really impressive.
It is.
Of course, he was very much hyped up at the beginning of the season, and we had a lot more attention on him because he was fighting a little bit more closer to the podium, and then he made a couple mistakes. However, I think it's still, considering it's his rookie season, he's pretty good. And then next season, he is going up to the factory KTM, so his bike will be a little bit better. I mean, the KTM has not been doing amazingly this season either, but we'll see if maybe Pedro Acosta can do something different with the bike. Not saying that Brad Binder, who is an amazing rider, can't do that. I mean, overall, he's currently 7th in the overall championship, but I mean, a different rider can do different things with a different bike, I'd say.
Yes, wait, is he joining the factory KTM or is he the Tech 3?
Pedro Acosta is joining the factory KTM.
Okay, and then Jorge Martin is taking over his seat.
No, Jorge Martin is going to Aprilia. Enea is going to Red Bull Gas Tech 3.
Okay, I got confused for a second. Yes. Sorry, it's like, I'm like, these names.
I mean, those team names are also really new still to us, but I'm slowly getting more familiar. And also because I had prepped, I don't know if you guys had seen it. If not, check it out. We did a little reaction video for you of the retro liveries that the guys and teams were repping this weekend.
For the 75th MotoGP anniversary.
Correct, yes, exactly.
So it was actually really cool. Yes. Check out the video, or I also check out the different liveries. Sorry, I can never figure out how to say that word. Because some of them actually put a lot of really good effort into it.
Yes.
The one that I actually like the best at the beginning is actually kind of like the Ducati one. It's kind of like it just blends in. It looks like the bike as always.
Yeah.
I just really like the color red that they picked.
Yeah, I get it. But then also the commentators were saying, which I agree with, the Ducati ones were the laziest
absolutely.
retrofits, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like they just changed a little bit where they put their decals on. And
and it's also because the bikes are just loaded with sponsorships. Yeah. It's sometimes tricky to see.
I mean, I don't know. Everyone else kind of got it done.
I agree. I agree. That's where my point was going, especially with Ducati Lenovo team.
Yeah.
That one you couldn't see the retro vibe as much just because it's packed with the sponsors' names.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I think it was a decent race. I'm really excited for Enea that he had such a great weekend. But it was not just he rode away with it. Like you could see the skill of him too, and how well he just rode the races. So it has me excited going into the next race,
especially Red Bull Ring. I think it will be very interesting because this is obviously a very, very fast track.
Yes,
we're obviously also really familiar with it due to F1.
Yeah,
and so I'm very, very excited to see that race in 2 weeks from now. I'm hoping that, because I do believe I'm off that Saturday, that I'll be able to watch the sprint race as well.
Nice,
because I haven't seen MotoGP
that's
sprint
so true.
race.
That's so true. But don't you guys worry. We also have motorcycle racing that you can watch, and I know we'll be watching next weekend because the Women's Circuit Racing Championship is coming back for their third round. I forgot off the top of my head where they're racing, but you'll be able to watch it for free on YouTube, and we'll be also doing a race recap for those races.
And they do two races per weekend. It's not a sprint and a main race. It's both main races.
Yes.
So they do Saturday and Sunday, and it's really, really good racing.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited to watch it because this is our first year of watching any type of motorcycle racing.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a completely new this year
as well. This is in their inaugural season.
Exactly.
But it's very, very exciting, so make sure to check that out as well.
Yes, please do.
And get in the comments, let us know what you guys thought about the race. What do you guys think about the rest of the season? Do you guys have any predictions? And also, what do you guys think about this upcoming moves that are happening? And then, as always, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Like and subscribe, and we will be seeing you guys here tomorrow at the Daily Racing Show.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.